Okay, can you start over, Roger?
Yep. The append method adds an item to the end of an existing list. For example, it's the example, the dot before append is there because it is a method of the list class. Methods will be explained in a later lesson.
Okay, so with this one, if you run it, it's just going to add the 4 to the end, and you use append a lot when you're building lists, especially like taking stuff from the database and adding to a list you're going to use later, the things that meet certain parameters or whatnot. So, all right. Oh, dang it. What's the result of this code? Words equals hello, words dot append world, and then print worlds 1, so 0, 1, prints world. Mike, can you read this one?
Yeah. To get the number of items in a list, you can use the len function. Unlike the index of the items, len does not start with 0. So the list above contains 5 items, meaning len will return 5. Len is written before the list. It is being called on without a dot.
So len is used a lot when, like I was talking about, you use the append method, and it's like querying something from the database, and then you're not going to know what the size of the list is, right? So what's commonly used is, so if we run this, it's just going to say 5 because there's 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't, len doesn't do the whole 0 thing, like 5 items is 5. But what is commonly used is while loops. So I'm sure you remember while loops from JavaScript. But like if you do something like while x equals 1, while x is less than nums, print nums x, to like cycle through all the items, right? And then you add 1 to it, x plus equals 1. Oh, yeah, duh. I didn't do len. That's what I meant to say. While len nums, and then it just goes through, you know, goes through the list, without you actually having to know how many items are in the list. Any questions on that? And if
Yes.
you, okay, what's that?
Oh, you should put access. Access. That's your defining number.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, actually the x is square to 1. Rows are usable.
I'm still having trouble hearing. Can you type it in the chat? Oh, yeah. So the reason being is that's actually a very, very good question. So x is 1 because if I set x to 0, It's, oh, actually, I should have set it to 0, not 1. My bad. So yes, I should have set it to 0 so it gets the first item in the list and then goes through the rest. Except let's get rid of this print nums thing. There we go. Yeah, so if you set it to 0, then it gets the first one. My bad. What I was gonna say is sometimes your list, sometimes you have to do -1. So like len, when is it you have to do len -1? I can't remember, but anyway, long story short, never mind. Yes, you're right. It should have been 0. So, all right, go ahead and start on this, and then raise your hand once you're done. All right, looks like a lot of you are done. So David, can you go ahead and do screen share and explain your answer?
Sure. So num equals len parenthesis items \\2 print num.
Good. Any questions? Nope. All right. And moving on. And this one, what's the result of this code? Letters A, B, C, append B, and then print letters and get the So get the len of letters is going to be 4 because now there's 4 to it.
So,
What was that?
what is the append? Append B.
Append.
So, yeah.
So append is it adds it to the end. So it's when we did this
So
one right here. It takes whatever you have in those parentheses and adds it to the end of the list.
Oh, okay. So in this case, we have D at the end of it. So that's what's 4, right?
I couldn't really hear you, but
Yeah. I was saying that. Yeah, that's why we came up with 4 because the D is as a value to the set.
right, yes. So now this list contains A, B, C, and D. So the len of it is 4. Yeah. Okay, and Patricia, can you read this one?
Sure. List
Oh wait, are
func-
you still sick?
Yeah, I have a cold, a bad one.
Never mind, my bad. I have horrible memory. Let's see. Samantha, can you read this one?
List functions. The insert method is similar to append, except it allows you to insert a new item at any position in the list, as opposed to just at the end. Elements that are after the insert item are shifted to the right.
All right. So with this, you're just picking where in the list you want to insert it, right? So if we just got rid of this and just did, 1, it's the same thing. Or if we made it 0, if we wanted to put it at the beginning, you could do 0 or, just wherever you want to put it in the list. So any questions on that? Nope. Okay. If you ever do have any questions, just unmute and let me know. Oh, oops. What's the result of this code? Nums append 4, so we add 4 to the end, and then we insert 11 at 0, 1, 2. So the rest goes over, and then we get the len and nums. So we've added 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Brian, can you read this one?
List functions. The index method finds the first occurrence of a list item and return its index. If the item isn't in the list, it raises a value error. There are a few more useful functions and methods for this. Max list returns the list item with the maximum value. Minimum list returns the list item with the minimum value. List count item returns a count of how many items an item occurs in a list. List remove item removes an object from a list. List reverse reverses items in a list. For example, you can count down how many 42s are there in a list using items count 42, where items is the name of our list.
All right, so on this one, like it says, index is going to give you where it is, but that's if you only have one entry of it. If you have a duplicate, it's still going to give you only the first one. So just something to think about and remember. Any questions on what the rest of these do? Is pretty straightforward. Like the biggest value, smallest value, count, how many times like it occurs, all that stuff, remove, get rid of it, reverse, flip the list around. So all pretty straightforward, but any questions on that? Anything that doesn't make sense? Anything you want to see an example of or anything?
It makes sense. Is there just some common times or just maybe some basic examples you could give of when you would use maybe just one or two of these?
Well, yeah, I mean, with remove, so I actually just did that not long ago, like 2 days ago. Used the list remove where, so what I was doing was, actually, I'll just show y'all. It'd be easier. Is this PC pickup? Yeah. Okay. Let's edit accounts. I knew it wasn't edit accounts. Sorry, just give me a second.
You're good.
Oh yeah, it was in the pickup file. Okay. Okay. So for this one, so I added a feature where if the school goes in and they go under edit profile of somebody and then choose to add an alert, like let's say, well, the reason this got input was because a student or this feature got added is because the student father had a restraining order against him. I'm not telling you any names, so there's no confidentiality. Had a restraining order against him, and only the mom was supposed to pick up the student or whatever. So I just added this feature where they could add an alert box, the little pop-up alert box when that QR code gets scanned saying, make sure only mother, blah, 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 or whatever, right? So just adding alert when that QR code gets scanned. And anyway, so here's the alert list. So when it gets queried from the database there's two separate alerts, one for the person scanning so that they could change it if they wanted, and then one for the specific one for the teacher when what the teacher sees on their end, right? So whatever's saved in the database for that alert, as it comes across, let's see, where do I add it? Yeah, if alert teacher not equals none, then so if there is an alert, right? And it's not a none type object, nothing saved in that part of the database, then it adds to the alert this this message, right? Well, it does this as input because, not to get too explaining everything, but so in order to have a page continue to basically check another page for the data, but without having to like refresh it. So like if somebody scrolls down or whatever, it's not refreshing constantly and like bringing it back to the top of the page or whatever. You just use JavaScript and send basically every 3 seconds it sends to that page and gets that info. But anyway, you can't just put an alert because if you put an alert on the other page that it's getting the info from, it would pop up an alert on that page as opposed to just popping up instead of just sending just the plain HTML, right, that I'm having print to the screen. But anyway, so it just gets it, and if there's an alert, then it calls to pop it up. But anyway, I was just explaining why it's got the input type. It's because I'm gonna search for the input type, and if it detects that input type, then it does an alert. But anyway, and then down here at the end, am I on the right one still? Yeah, pick up list 2. So after it builds that list, oh, I was on the view only pickup list is where I needed to be. View only 2. Okay. So after it builds that list of all the, different students alerts or whatever, right? It goes through and I have it say build the old alert list, and it checks. Okay, so you don't want it to appear multiple times, right? You don't want the alert to just keep popping up over and over again, right? So I have it, once it's displayed once, then it sends it in the sessions, and the reason you send it through save it in a session is so that it'll still be there again on the new page with the old data or whatever, since it refreshes every 3 seconds, right? And then it takes that old data and makes that the old alert list, and then goes ahead and checks to see if, oh, actually I didn't use remove. Okay, this would have been a good time to use remove. So like if it saw that it was already in the old list, then it would remove it from the new list. So I guess this was a bad example. I guess I didn't use it, but instead I went another way and I just said, if it's in it, then
I still can kind of, based on that description, I can see where it would be used. Because at first I was thinking, if we're removing something, why not just go in there and remove it from the code? But it makes sense. It's based on other factors, whether or not it needs to be removed. So that makes sense.
yeah, exactly. And instead I just didn't add it to the list. But I could have used the remove feature at that point. So
That works. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay. So moving on, drag and drop the items. So list.append Z to add Z to the end, and then get the len of the list. Oh, I guess I should have shown you examples of other things too, or told you about examples. Okay, my bad. Hold on. Let me go back. Oh, dang it. Actually, hold on. Oh, I guess it wasn't. No, it's not list operations. It's the other one. Okay. I mean, max, just if you need to know the biggest one in your list, like let's say you're doing, I don't know. Oh wait, actually, there's a better example of when you use min max. I'm just trying, let me think of it. I don't remember. Anyway, but yeah, if you just want, like, let's say you have financial info or something, you want to know the biggest one or the smallest one, right? Count items, you'd use that when you like, I don't know, want to know how many duplicates you have of something, because basically you're trying to figure out how many occurrences there are of it for some specific reason, right? Like, what would be a good specific reason? Let's say you're adding I don't know, like how many passes and how many fails you're adding them to a list, and you want to know how many passes there were and how many fails or something. Of course, with that, you probably wouldn't add it to a list. You probably just do plus equals pass, but something like that, something along those lines. You need to know how many of something. And remove, explain that one. List reverse, I've used that. When did I? That was really helpful. Can't remember why. But basically, I needed to build the list, but then I wanted to, since I was appending to it, I needed to go from the back of the list to the front. So instead of like doing a while loop and counting down or whatever, you just do list reverse, and then you can do a for loop, and it just iterates through all the list. Does that answer your question? Or is there anything you're still not clear on, Mike?
No, that was good. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And speaking of while loops, here we are. Once this loads, Mark, would you mind reading this one?
While loops. A while loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times. For example, let's say we need to process multiple user inputs so that each time the user inputs something, same block of code needs to be executed. Below in a while loop containing a variable that counts up from 1 to 5, at which point the loop terminates. During each loop iteration, the I variable will get incremented by 1 until it reaches 5. So the loop will execute the print statement 5 times. The code in the body of a while loop is executed repeatedly. This is called iteration.
All right. So, and again, the easier way to do this is I plus equals 1. Just a faster way of writing that. We've kind of covered while loops before, so it's pretty straightforward. It just, does the same thing over and over through, either the list or through, if you just set numbers, it just does it that many times. Any questions on that? Okay. Go ahead and start on let's do some magic, and raise your hand once you're done. All right. Mike, can you go ahead and share your screen and explain your answer?
Yes. So I used a while loop that used the days,
Oh.
doubled them.
Can you do share screen?
Oh. All right, so I used a while loop that took the days, starting at 0, doubling them, and adding 1 at the end of that each time. And then when you print those new updated item numbers, it gives you the double number each day.
All right. Any questions on that? Anybody stuck or having issues? Nope. Okay. And moving on. Oh, actually, it is that time. So we will go ahead and stop for the. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Let me. So where did we get to? Okay, once we get through this one, then we'll stop for the day. All right. So this one, how many numbers does this code print? 4, because while I is greater than or equal to 0, and then we do I, it's the same as minus equals 1. So it's going to print so 3, 2, 1, and then 0, and then it'll be equal to it, so it'll stop. Okay. Jacob, can you read this one? Oh wait, are you sick? Are you sick too? Who was sick? Or
That's me.
oh, okay. My bad. Okay, Jacob, can you read this one?
While loops. You can use multiple statements in the while loop. For example, you can use an if statement to make decisions. This can be useful if you are making a game and need to loop through a number of player actions and add or remove points of the player. The code below uses an if-else statement inside a while loop to separate the even odd numbers in a range of 1 to 10. strx is used to convert the number x to a string so that it can be used for connotation. In console, you can
Concatenation.
stop. Sorry, say again.
It's concatenation. Just help.
Okay, thank you. In console, you can stop the program's execution by using the Control-C shortcut or by closing the program.
All right, and that's why, yeah, you don't want to get a while loop and then forget to put your, plus equals, because then, yeah, if you do that, it just goes on forever, and you're like, okay, why is it still processing? And then you go look back and like, oh yeah, I forgot to add that. So yeah, just always remember to add your plus equals if you're doing a while loop, unless it's something that has a set number already. But generally it doesn't. So, all right, go ahead, answer the next question. Okay, fill in the blanks to create a loop that increments the value of x by 2 and prints the even values. So while x is less than or equal to 20, print x and increment it by 2, x plus equals 2. Tim, can you read this one?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Break. To end a while loop prematurely, the break statement can be used. For example, we can break an infinite loop if some condition is met. While true is a short and easy way to make an infinite loop. An example use case of break. An infinite while loop can be used to continuously take user input. For example, you are making a calculator and need to take numbers from the user to add and stop. When the user enters stop, in this case, the break statement can be used to end the infinite loop when the user input equals stop. Using the break statement outside of a loop causes an error.
All right, so any questions on that? No questions? Okay. Go ahead, answer the next question. Okay. How many numbers does this code print? While true, so I starts at 5 and then same as minus equals. If less than or equal to 2, so starts at 5, takes away 1, so 4, 3, 2, it's equal, so 3. And Kevin, can you read this one?
Continue. Another statement that can be used within loops is continue. Unlike break, continue jumps back to the top of the loop rather than stopping it. Basically, the continue statement stops the current iteration and continues with the next one. An example use case of continue. An airline ticketing system needs to calculate the total cost for all tickets purchased. The tickets for children under the age of 1 are free. We can use a while loop to iterate through the list of passengers and calculate the total cost of their tickets. Here, the continue statement can be used to skip the children. Using the continue statement outside of a loop causes an error.
All right, so basically between continue and break ends the loop altogether, doesn't continue the iterations. Continue just doesn't complete the block of code. So anything after that, if the condition's met, it just doesn't do. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. Which statement ends current iteration? Continue. All right. So we will go ahead and call that a day.